bien aligné.
Ok.
Alinéa. Nous, on aime l'alignement.
Bon, les caméras on.
Yeah.
All right, hi guys. So, welcome to Science Fridays. Today, tu peux laisser la musique, ça ne dérange pas. So today we're going to look at the lower back again. I thought that because we discussed quite a fair bit the lower back today, I'm going to demonstrate a bit more techniques to help release the lower back. You are going to need a ball, preferably. We're just going to do on the ball today. I'll be explaining some on the foam roller in another session. I'm going to just fix my hair because I look like crap right now. So yeah, there we go. So if you use a ball, this is very useful to release. If you have some lower back issues, we're going to target a couple of areas, which I'm going to show you on our dummy now. Why is it doing this? Okay, bear with me, guys. Why is there something that's... Oh, no, I see. Okay, so let me share my screen with you. First, let's go and revert back to our little model that we looked at last time. Okay, so when we looked at the model here, we looked obviously at the pelvis and the lower back region. So we looked at the different muscles that we were interested in releasing. The first muscle that we are going to focus today, I'm going to show you a few techniques to release those muscles here. So I'm going to show you here. So a bit of a lat release today. So I'm going to demonstrate a couple of lat release. I'm also going to demonstrate for you how to try and stretch your, not the obliques. Let me take one down. So we're not going to be able to obviously release the full transverse abdominis. We're going to try and look at how to really decrease the tension and also observe some quadratus lumborum release. So a couple of stretches for your TVA and for your QL, a couple of release trigger points for your lats, and we are going to look at in the hips as well area. I'm going to show you a couple of techniques to release your piriformis. Some stretches, very simple, and we're going to have a look at releasing your gluteus medius and gluteus maximus here. All right, so getting on the screen, you can see release on the gluteus medius, release on the gluteus maximus, and we're going to go and try and do some stretches and release into your piriformis, because as you remember, this is your sciatic nerve, and this is the one that we look at. Now, when we do all the movements, please remind yourself that you kind of want to keep this pelvis neutral and try to start understanding what are the what a neutral pelvis mean. So I can't really kind of like demonstrate what happens when we do a posterior and anterior tilt, but obviously when you look at certain motions here, when you do a flexion, your pelvis would kind of move, we kind of like tilt forward, and when you like arch the back and like tuck that tailbone, your pelvis would kind of like lift backwards. Okay, so we call that a posterior tilt when the pelvis or the hip bone tilt towards the back, and we're called an anterior tilt when the pelvis kind of go forward and the lower back is arched. Okay, so when I'm going to go through this demonstration, I want you to kind of pay attention to where your pelvis is placed and also to your core engagement when I'm going to explain to you how to engage your core. All right, any questions so far before we move on? No? Okay, fine. Perfect. Okay, so grabbing on your ball, we're going to do the lat release for now. We're going to try and release the lat before we do a QL and a TVA kind of stretch. Okay, so very basic, taking into your ball here. Okay, let me just take that. You can observe the cat as well, what we hear. Okay, so in order to achieve like a really good release of your lower back here, you're going to try and find into your lower part of your lat. So I don't know if you saw, it's fairly white on the screen when you saw the model. There is not a lot of actual muscle fibers. It's very fibrous down there. It's a lot of actual connective tissue, and this is why it can get quite tight as well, because there is not that much blood flow through, and you end up just kind of really tensing up, and it gets really hard to release. So here, the most important part for this is to learn and try and relax into the breath. So if this is too much when you lie down, I suggest that you start doing it against the wall. Okay, so if you find this is not bearable lying down, you go against the wall and you just try and find the same spot. So finding your spot here, up. Okay, so we just lie down. And what we do now, if you kind of observe what's happening, is placing the hands on the pelvis. And we're going to start breathing through like we do, for example, in Pilates. Take a nice deep breath in. And as you breathe out, start pushing down and start tilting your pelvis. So automatically we kind of like engage a bit the core and we dig deep. So get also your ribcage kind of push down a little bit there. And inhale. You can move your ball around until you find like a really tight spot and exhale. And again. So what I'll try and do is actually just breathe through the nose after a while. My hands on the belly. I'll do one more. Now, the side that you're going to be releasing, you're actually going to try and take your left leg up. So I'm on my left side, I'm taking my left leg. So same leg. This increases quite drastically the release. So taking it, imagine you want to bring it to the chest. So this will really get that pelvis to like posteriorly tilt, and it's going to really increase the release. This is going to go quite intense, and breathe as well. Maybe 2 or 3 breaths and building up to 5 breaths as you get used to this. Okay, so those are the main release for your lower back. Okay, so make sure you do a little bit the other side if you're doing it with me. So finding a nice tight spot and press down. And start lifting the leg on the same side. Grab the knee. So here we really try and get into getting the tissue to relax, but so we're not taking the knots away. We're not actively just changing the tissue. We're just getting a better communication with your nervous system. So then the tissue doesn't get so tight so quickly and learns how to release as well in the right moments. Okay, nice release here. Take it off. So now that we feel the lower back is kind of nice and released now, so we kind of like this one. You want to maybe take a couple of stretches here. Jump and down. Okay. So the easy kind of stretch that you can start with is into your cross leg position and making, again, your transverse and your QL. So when we stretch, we want to actively lift upwards, obviously not do this. We want to lift that rib cage up before we tilt to the side, okay? As we tilt to the side, we use the hand that's on the floor to push ourselves away a bit further. So it's not about collapsing and letting ourselves calm down. We make ourselves taller first before we work the hands. And then you take that nicer stretch. You have the option, if you want to stretch a bit more into the lat, to let your hand come all the way down and then rotate and try and bring your other hand on top. Yeah, so stretch just aside your QL and your transverse. And stretch a bit more into the front part of the transverse and the QL, a bit more into your lats. Okay, so let's do the other side. So again, nice deep inhale. Lift up, lift up, lift up. Exhale, come sideways. So just trying to keep that sort of really straight. We're not like twisting any sides for the first part of the stretch. So a lot of actual movement, very similar into yoga, sort of trikonasana, triangle pose, and just getting into that stretch here. So same, you want to stay really flat. Don't have the rib cage kind of flaring, but you still want to try and keep engaged. This side is very tight. And if you want to go a bit more towards the front, turn yourself up, so the chest slightly up. Now we do a twist. We come and cover the opposite hand here if we want. So quite naturally, you can also build up to a bit more intense stretches, which will be to have the leg straight and then come and twist out your body here. So again, no shoulder shrugs. We're trying to keep this open, keep the chest open, keep our body nice and straight and square. Open a bit more to the front to try and reopen. Get that knee to stay on the floor because we don't want the hip to come with. Yeah, we want to make that space between the hip and the rib cage. And a bit more lats. Stretch by bringing the other hand in through and twist it out. So here we try and extend further out. So we're obviously not rounding the back. So if you're not very flexible, then you start here, here, and here. Okay? Get into your twist, get into your spine mobility. Not going to do the other side of this one. This was just to show you. Moving on to the piriformis, glutes medius, and release. That's it. Gluteus medius, maximus, release. So starting into the release first. Some very, very useful and very painful release technique here. So as you've seen into the model, the piriformis is kind of located between, quite deep. So it's quite hard to access. We're not really going to feel that much of a release into the piriformis. However, we can release some part of your glute medius, and then as you've been able to see, some part of your glute maximus and some part of your glute medius. So I like to start just basically rolling on top of my glute, the big one, so the max. So really rolling, rolling, rolling. You can do circles, you can do up and down. There's always a few knots in there. And then once I've found it on the side, so we're going to start rolling ourselves into a bit more into the crease. So you can see just a tiny bit. And then I'm going to start opening my leg because we're doing, remember, some abduction and adduction. So here, opening, and try and squeeze on when you close. Open and squeezing these together and close. Open and close. We're going to start coming a little bit further. This time we're going to come all the way to the side. Ooh. So this is like really intense here. So crease of the thigh towards the hip. So my hip bone is here. The ball is just underneath, behind into the flesh of my glute, so the medius. And here you can straighten the leg. This is very, very hard. And up, you can also close and open. This is much more intense than the first. Remember, you can also still do this against the wall. You repeat and release. Release is the worst, straighten is the worst. This is really, really tough, this one. I'm going in and out, okay? So option here, option here. Okay. Oh, it's such a good release, but it's really intense. And then we go to the other side, just because we need to balance it out. Okay, so just starting roll, nice and easy. And we're gonna go into the first side where we just kind of go a little bit more sideways. Open, close, open, close. You will always have like one side that's a bit tighter and more painful than the other. Keep on your breath. Breathing is really, really important here. One more. Good. Coming all the way to the side. Staying here or lying down to add more weight. And let's do the close, open, and close, and open. And one more. Straighten, and back. Straighten, and back. Good, 1, 2 more. Good. Last one. Nice. Bring it back. Nice. Okay. So once we've done the release, we're just going to go into an actual stretch now. So lying down, very simple. For this kind of stretch, you've got 2 options as well, which are quite nice. The first one is to do your figure 4 lying down, which is crossing your ankle over the knee. So here I'm pushing the figure 4 here. What's important is to actually try and keep that knee open as we lift the other leg. So you want to actively push your knee open rather than let it fall out. Here, first, let open and flex the foot. We straighten the other leg. Push, 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 push. You also have a really nice option to go against the wall and place the other leg and push yourself kind of away. And try and really, really get your leg. So if you're able to focus and have an active opening, you can also like thread through and pull in. Then you're going to come down, open your arm into cactus shape and twist, but twist from the hip. So try obviously twist with the lower back, but you want to try and twist, keeping the knee where it is. And then we're going to use our hand to actually bring the knee a bit higher and down. And we actually focus more on what is happening here than so much on the lower back. You want to try and really pull into the hip and the glutes, into the stretch. So like a figure 4 sensation, but with a slight twist. Yeah, you can hold this like about 30, 45 seconds at a time. Let's do the other side so we manage to keep You can obviously also do stretches such as the pigeon stretch. Bear in mind that if you want to do a pigeon stretch, get the alignment right by keeping the front leg at 90-degree angle. This side is so much tighter. So this one is quite good because you can, when you go against the wall and you push a little bit into the wall, you can just literally focus on pushing with the knee here. And it's quite a nice release. Keep that knee opening to get into the piriformis release. Nice. And then a little twist. Small twist, small twist. Try and touch the floor. If you can't touch the floor, you can place blocks or cushions and then try and focus a bit more on the hip here. So rather than using the back, try and lift into the hip first. And gently take it back. So obviously today is more like a demo, but I do suggest that you kind of take the time to do it yourself. That was just to demo and show you the different parts of your body you can help release when you have lower back pain, lower back problem, lower back tension. Do we have any questions? All right. Well, that's great, guys. That's it for today, for Science Friday. I hope that you have learned. And next week, we'll let you know there's going to be some themes throughout the next few weeks. So I'm hoping that you will enjoy the things that we're going to be introducing. And I will see you for Science Mondays. Have a nice weekend, guys. Bye.